Hello, everyone. You're listening to Crunch Squad. It's a podcast within a podcast wherein we discuss the rules, the mechanics, and the number crunching behind this wonderful game of Dungeons and Dragons. I'm Ned, the host for Crunch Squad, and today I'm joined by...
It's Jacob!
Yes,
no sound effects
it's party
needed.
time. Yep. Thomas, feel free to add no sound effects to this because we got them all right here.
Yep, we're like a Foley machine right here.
If Jacob's here, that probably means we're talking about Dragonborn, I would imagine.
Yes.
And this is a very cool type of Dragonborn, one that did not exist when D&D 5e first existed.
That is correct.
Before we get into, the nitty-gritty of this, what was it that sort of drew you to Dragonborn in the first place?
Good question. Dragonborns they've always kind of interested me because they have, I don't know, this is how I view it. I don't know how others view it. I don't know if this is stereotypical or generalized how the general population views Dragonborns, but Dragonborns are they're very intimidating is the wrong word because we use intimidating a lot in the podcast, and they don't have to be intimidating, but they're very powerfully, almost regal, I'd want to say, a regal kind of species and race. They are like, to me, I think Dragonborn and I think proud. Like they are just fully in their element. Now, again, this is very generalized to the different races of D&D, but I think like half orc, or if you want to go orc, they're very, they're very strong, they're very proud, but they're very much like you almost get, and people can play different, which is always nice to see, but you almost always get like an insecurity sometimes with like half orc characters where they're like, I have to prove I'm strong and that I beat the stereotype of whatever orcs have, and Dragonborns are like, yeah, I'm a dragon, baby. What are you going to do about it? Like, they're very much like, I have nothing to hide, and this is who I am. And I've always loved that feeling of confidence when I think of, or when I've read into a little bit of the Dragonborn race. And I've wanted to insert that into a character as I've been playing in this second season of iCast Fireball, to basically be like I don't really have things to hide in terms of like myself, my personality, my like, I gotta be careful how I'm gonna say this. Like, no, this is just what I think. This is it. And so I wanted to incorporate that in a character, and I found that Dragonborn was a great race to play into for that. Yeah,
we see this fun progression from Fleeple in the last campaign, where kobolds are to dragons what worms are to snakes, in my mind. But now we get a Dragonborn, and there actually is a decent amount of that dignity that comes along with that draconic lineage.
Yes.
And we definitely delved a lot into sort of the nature of dragons in general back in Tyranny of Dragons, as far as metallic dragons are good, chromatic dragons are bad. But now we've got this third kind of dragons filling up the neutral slot, gem dragons.
Yes, in the player's handbook, it definitely talks about, to kind of set like the distinctions of the races. For Dragonborns, it says that they're very polar opposites, meaning like they can adopt polar opposites. They're either all good or all bad. And that's usually where you find the metallic versus the chromatic. They're, though, I believe, was it Fizban that introduced the gem?
Fizban's Treasury of Dragons.
That's right. Fizban introduced this third one, like you were talking about, the gem dragon, which are kind of just this, they're really cool. As it even says, if you want to look it up in kind of its introduction, gem dragonborn partake in the heritage of gem dragons who claim they're heirs of Sarador, which I'm probably pronouncing bad, but the ruby dragon. The colors and mysterious power of gem dragons gleam in their dragon scales and course through their veins. They're this kind of wondrous dragon that, obviously, with them being introduced later in the progression of 5e, they have a little bit of mystery to them. They are a recent emergence in the world as it continues to evolve in Faerun and in Dungeons and Dragons. And I was drawn to it because, there's a couple reasons for kind of background of building my character. One of those is that my birthstone actually is sapphire. And that is what Maximus is. He's a sapphire gem dragon. And so I was like, that's kind of a cool incorporation to find. And I also liked just that each dragon's ancestry, where you have the metallic and the chromatic with the different colors or metals. And these are for gems. Sapphire is thunder. And that just bought in more to the confident, like, I'm just here and I'm not afraid of what people hear from me. And thunder is just boom, it's just right there. And so I even tried to, as many audience members have probably surmised by now, try to incorporate that even into the voice of my character to have a presence of thunder.
Yeah, it's been very effective. The other thing that I think is really, really cool about Gem Dragonborn in particular is they came at a time when Wizards of the Coast was playing around with introducing psionics to D&D 5e, and this is how we start to see some of that manifesting on the race side of things.
Yes, they each dragon, chromatic, metallic, they have unique features for them, and the Gem Dragons are no different. For Gem Dragons, number one, like every dragon has a breath weapon. That's just across the board. No matter what type of Dragonborn you are, you will have a breath weapon of some kind, which ties into, you know, the thunder or the poison or necrotic or whatever is being incorporated there. But for Gem Dragons, like Ned was talking about, they have the psionic mind feature, which is where we've introduced it in the podcast already. They can telepathically speak to any creature within 30 feet of them. And what's really cool actually about this ability even is you don't even need to share the language with the creature. If I'm talking to Goblin, pure Goblin, born and bred a Goblin, nothing else but a Goblin, they only speak Goblin, I can still talk to it in this psionic mind feature because they only need to understand one language for it to translate across kind of this extra plane of kind of psychic energy, if you will, of speaking mind to mind. But they can't speak back. So you definitely, there's definitely some hindrances and some funny things that occur with that. But you can communicate, and that's a really cool feature. And I thought it'd be really cool, especially if we're in, as we've already demonstrated in our campaign, in the middle of maybe some tense moments where you need to get a message, but maybe you don't want to give it away to others or to the enemy or to whoever you're talking to, and you want to kind of communicate to another party member. This is a quick, easy way to do that.
And there's also another really cool psionic ability that you have here. We're digging just right into these here. Instead of starting at the beginning, we'll just start with the coolest stuff right off the top. So we've got the psionic mind feature we've already gone through. The other one is Gem Flight.
And we just hit 5th level, so this might be showing up in an episode or two, and it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun.
Yeah, this is a delayed feature that, like you said, you don't get until 5th level, but you can use your bonus action to manifest spectral wings on your body. They last for 1 minute, and for the duration, you gain a flying speed equal to your walking speed, and you can hover. And you can do this once per long rest.
It'll definitely be fun, and that's something that you want to. Every I think DM can kind of nail out with it, because Ned, you can tell me your take on this, because it says you gain that flying speed and you can hover. So would you say that doesn't really mean you can fly? It's just you can levitate? Or would you say, like, you can adapt it? Yeah.
It's an interesting one. Yeah, the hovering aspect definitely ties in with the psionics of it all. You think of, like, we'll just use Magneto, for example. He's not per se, like, it's a certain sort of manifestation of psionics, I guess you could say, his mutation, where he can just kind of, like, hover up in the air, and that gives him the ability to move through the air at great speed. But it's very different than, like, the lieutenant popping these giant wings out of her back and flapping them to be able to fly.
Yeah.
And so the ability to hover is sort of an extra bonus in that, like, if you have wings and those wings manage to get restrained somehow, then you're going to start falling at the end of your turn. But as long as you can hover, you can just maintain that height even if you are restrained up there.
It'll be interesting to see how Thomas wants to adapt and play with the rules of, or the interpretation, I should say, of that text. But it's going to be cool regardless of Maximus's ability to now maybe get to places or have kind of a new strategy in his back pocket if things need to be adapted in battle or in whatever we face.
Yeah, and I think it's just another fun sort of metatextual layer to this sort of rivalry that Max and Ignis have going on, where it's like, oh, you could grow wings. Guess who can also grow wings now?
What's up, Lieutenant? Which is so funny. I'm just going to clarify. I know this isn't like the regular the campaign episodes. This is Crunch Squad. This is a podcast within a podcast. I didn't choose this beef, okay? Just want to throw it out there to the listeners that listen to Crunch Squad. I didn't choose this beef with Mickey. It's not like I set my characters up to be like, I'm gonna get her, because this is the second campaign that this has happened where a character's personalities come into clash. I did not choose this battle. This battle chose me. I'm just gonna say It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I've definitely discovered about Mickey over the course of these couple campaigns is she loves drama,
and she loves, which is great because it incorporates so much to explore in a party. She loves forceful characters that are like, tough, strong, with Malamara, with the lieutenant now, that just this is the way, if you will, of her character's vision, and coming into conflict with that vision obviously brings some drama, as you said. And the first time we played, it was very much oh, well, you're sneaky and you're not honorable. And now it's just like, we just got to win no matter what. And I'm playing the nice guy. And, well, relatively. But it'll be interesting. But yeah, you're right. Tying it all together, each person and race's ability is really cool to see, not only how it manifests in strategy and in mechanics, but also in where it's that cool blend that people find how mechanics can lend to the RP of it all.
And those are the things that are unique to Gem Dragonborn specifically. Then we get into, like, all three types of Dragonborn have some certain traits that are similar across all of them, but a little bit different in every case. Continuing going backwards from where we started in this list, we've got a Draconic Resistance, and this ties into your ancestry. If you are a Chromatic Dragonborn, you have a Chromatic ancestry, Metallic, etc. You have a Gem ancestry, which means you get to choose one of the 5 types of Dragonborn, in this case, Amethyst, Crystal, Emerald, Sapphire, and Topaz, and that has an associated damage type that ties in with your breath weapon and your Draconic Resistance. So in this instance, because you are Sapphire, you have thunder damage, you are resistant to thunder damage.
Yes. And I know that's not the most... When I first was creating the character, I thought, what's the most common type of damage? I'm going to go with that. And just because, it was a little bit of, what is it called? Oh, Ned, help me out. Not min-maxing. What is it called? Where you're
metagaming?
Metagaming. There you go. Metagaming. It's a little bit of metagaming, and then I threw out the metagaming entirely because there is thunder damage, and that does pop up in D&D, but I don't think it's a very frequent type of damage. So you can adapt it as you want and as you will. Like, for instance, I'd imagine if you're going into the campaign of Ravenloft, if you're going in there, maybe necrotic. You might want to look at necrotic a little bit, but yeah. Really, it is a cool feature, though, that the damage you give, you in turn have a natural resistance to.
And that ties in with our breath weapon, and this is the most crunchy aspect of the Dragonborn.
Yes.
But essentially, when you take the attack action on your turn, you can replace one of those attacks with this breath weapon, which is a pretty cool update over the way that they used to do it in the original Player's Handbook version of the Dragonborn. This way, like, if you are a fighter and you have 2 attacks, you reach 5th level, and actually, I'm trying to remember, do Rangers get their second attack at 5th level?
Yes, Rangers do get an extra attack, so that is a nice thing. Again, don't knock on the Rangers. They have some cool things, and one of them is an extra attack. I remember I'm actually playing right now online, or just on my computer, Baldur's Gate 3, and I did a cleric, and I'm like, this is so cool. And then I realized clerics never get extra, or most clerics never get extra attacks. I'm like, well, that's kind of lame. And so, yeah, Rangers do, and you're right. So in one of those attacks that I have as an option, as a Ranger, I can put the breath weapon into there.
Yeah. And the way that this breath weapon works is it's a 15-foot cone area attack. Everybody has to make a dexterity saving throw equal to 8 plus your constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. Then pretty typical AoE kind of stuff. If they fail, they take full damage. If they succeed, they take half damage. But this is another cool thing in that the amount of damage you do scale. It starts at 1d10, and then at 5th level it's 2d10, 11th level is 3d10, and 17th level is 4d10.
Yeah, so it can be a pretty nice hit if you're using it in the right time. And obviously with that cone ability, you're hitting multiple targets potentially.
And you can do that a number of times equal to your proficiency bonus per long rest.
That's nice. So it's not just a one and done, kind of like the flight feature of a gem dragon. This is, again, as you level up, you're not only increasing your damage, but now you're increasing the times you can use it. So right now as 5th level, we have a proficiency of 3. I technically, in between long rests, can use this up to 3 times. I don't think I've used it yet, if I can remember. Oh boy, I can't remember.
I think you may have used it during our test session, but I'm not sure if we've used it since then.
I did use it during the test session, which wasn't recorded, so I have not used it in a live episode. We're doing it live. Welcome to Saturday Night Live. No, I have not used it in a released episode, so that'll be fun when the time comes.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of ways that you could cheese this. Like, if you can use it that many times, do you have just like, you've got 2 attacks on your turn, you just make them both breath weapons, but it does say you can only replace one of your attacks on your turn when you take the attack action.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine you getting 4d10 at 5th level to do this. You're just, if you did them for both attacks, which you can't, that would be pretty OP all of a sudden, or pretty powerful.
Yeah. So they did think of people like me when they were making this race.
Oh, the Crunch Squad kids.
Yeah, but then just kind of rounding it out, these are some traits that are the same for all of the types of Dragonborn. You're a humanoid, you've got medium size, and your walking speed is 30 feet. Nice and standard.
And your ability scores, at the beginning of it all, they had, in the Player's Handbook, if you read the Player's Handbook only, it says, I believe, strength for your ability scores, you get to increase your strength by 2 and your charisma by 1. But as, obviously, Dungeons & Dragons has developed, they've kind of had it across the board where you can do a variant now, and then with these they just straight up say you just pick 1 ability score for 2 increase and 1 ability score for 1. So that's definitely been nice, especially for those who like Max, who, even though again we say he's intimidating and strong, he actually doesn't have that high of a strength roll. He is more of a dexterous character because of his crossbow focus. So that was kind of nice to be able to move around those abilities to help how I wanted to develop the character.
So he's got a lot of bulk, but it's creatine muscle. He didn't actually
it's like a Michael Phelps. You're like, wow, he's strong, but he's not like walking around like, like Hulk Hogan. He's not going to get into pro wrestling anytime soon, but he definitely can maybe get some martial arts going and definitely hold his own in a certain type of fight.
Indeed. Well, those are all of the features for the Gem Dragonborn. Is there anything else that you want to tell our friends out there in podcast world about this race?
I mean, again, tying back to what I said before, I just love the aura around the Dragonborn. The presence, I should say, and mystique, yes, of the Dragonborn. And again, going back to the Player's Handbook, the original, the first line, born of dragons, as their name proclaims, the Dragonborn walk proudly through the world that greet them with fearful incomprehension. So they are just, like I said, they have a pride about them that can play into so many things. We've seen Dragonborn, and I've seen campaigns or listened to campaigns that Dragonborn are almost like stuck up proud, where they're kind of like the noble regal, like everyone's beneath me, I'm born of more things. But you can play that so many different ways, and you can go against type, which is kind of fun to see, like a Dragonborn that almost is fearful. That'd be something interesting. But to see where you can, I would say that's the biggest thing. And whatever, when you're creating a character, taking out the mechanics of it all, I would say you want to play into what the books are kind of describing those characters, races, species, backgrounds to be, but find your own way to do that. And the more you're able to do that, because it, one, can help support you, but two, it also gives you, don't feel like you're just put in a box and there's only one way to play it. And again, find cool little abilities that you're interested in that you've never played with before. I've never had a character that can fly. So that's going to be, or hover. So that's going to be interesting. And it just explore as many variants of it as you can, because that's what's great about D&D. You can find a lot of different ways to play the thing that has been played a million times over and yet is unique almost every time you see it.
Well, dear listeners, I hope you're enjoying the very unique characters that we have been bringing to this campaign, and we hope that you've been enjoying this episode, listening to it as much as we've enjoyed recording it, because it's been a pretty grand time over here. Now, from wherever you get your podcast, please leave us a review. It helps to boost our ratings throughout each podcast service, it puts our show in other people's recommended feeds, and it just lets us know that you like what we're doing, and it lifts our spirits. If you'd like to write something maybe a little longer than a review, you could also email us at icastfireball2020 tabletop@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We've been getting a lot of fan mail lately, and it's been really cool to see all of that. And we're also hoping to get the word out there and set this podcast on fire. Now, to get the most recent up-to-date content from all of us here, please follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Please follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Or X.
With the handle
As it's called now.
Or X. Yes. Oh, lovely. We love it. Please follow us those places at ICASTFireball20. There you can get some possible sneak peeks of upcoming episodes, some interesting insight from the players in DM, and behind-the-scenes shots of us making this incredibly fun world. Now, time to give our obligatory shout-out to our sister podcast, Improv Tabletop, where there's this big old nerd. The biggest nerd that I know is doing the GMing stuff over there, and we've got a lot of Fate campaigns. Currently, we're doing a long-form campaign set in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender in a theme park in Republic City, and just for some context, I won't spoil anything, but I did watch Batman Begins for research for this campaign.
Oh boy.
So, yes. There's interesting stuff going on in this campaign. It's lots of fun. So if you want to hear what's going on with that, go check out Improv Tabletop. And lastly, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends and fellow wacky adventurers. But until next time, I've been Ned, your host for Crunch Squad, and I've been joined by
Jacob, and I play Maximus Shans in our Season 2 campaign.
Keep the fire going, everybody, and we'll see you next time.